Welcome to Madlit Musings, the podcast where you get to eavesdrop on your favorite authors without getting caught. I've been stoked to have authors like Angela Hunt, Bill Myers, Nicole Deese, Tessa Afshar, comedian Bob Smiley, and more on the show, and this year I have another great lineup of storytellers and truthsayers. If you love to eavesdrop at coffee shops like I do, this is the podcast for you. It's where we get real, we get tough, we laugh, and we might even cry. It's where we meet authors on a different level, where every story and podcast episode has its own heartbeat. So hang out with me today. I'm Jaime Jo Wright, your host at Madlit Musings. This is your podcast for real chats with real authors about real life. Today's episode was brought to you by Baker Publishing Group, with Revell and Bethany House Publishing as divisions. We're super excited to be sponsored by Baker Publishing Group and to bring you their fabulous authors and their fabulous lineup for 2025. Be sure to check them out at bakerpublishinggroup.com and also check out their online bookstore at bakerbookhouse.com. Hey everyone, it is Jaime Jo Wright here at Madlit Musings, and I'm excited because I have Sarah Sundin back with me. Hey Sarah.
Hi, Jamie. It's so good to be back.
It's so fun to have you back. And I think you need to put out more books because what a year's not kicking it for me. I need like 8, something like that.
If I could write faster, I would. I know.
I know. Well, the book that you have coming out is called Midnight on the Scottish Shore, which looks absolutely stunning too. I'm looking at the cover on my other computer monitor.
They did a great job.
They did a really great job with this one. So for readers who may not know who you are, which is shocking if they don't, but if you don't know who Sarah is, she's a prolific writer of World War II fiction. And how many books have you written now?
This is 17.
This is 17. Okay. Because I was going to say, you've got to be close to 20.
Yeah. If you count the novella and the ones I've got I'm working on number 18 and I've got more contracted. But yeah, I'm getting close to 20.
You're getting close to 20, huh? Ooh, yay, that's awesome. You have to have a big party when you hit 20.
I know.
But let's talk about Midnight on the Scottish Shore. Have you been to Scotland in your books before?
No, not in my book. Well, I had a couple scenes in Edinburgh in the sea before us.
Okay.
That's the closest I've come. So
okay.
Yeah, I've always wanted to. And it was a quieter area during World War II.
Yeah.
And so I was just waiting for the right story. My husband kept bugging me, find a story. We've got to write a story set in Scotland. And he's half Scottish and I'm part Scottish. And
got it. Okay.
So, but I knew there were stories. I just needed to find mine. And but I did.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that's so fun about your fiction is you take us to all these different places that aren't necessarily synonymous when you think of World War II. Like you think of Berlin or, London, and now we're in Scotland, which isn't a country I think about when I think about the war, which is probably unfair to the Scots.
Yeah, they would agree.
They'd be like, hey, we existed. So tell us a little bit about this story and why we're in Scotland.
So, it starts off with kind of a bang. Scylla van der Zee is in the Dutch resistance, and she finds herself in trouble, thinks she's going to get arrested, and she knows it's only a matter of time. So she needs to escape, but there just aren't any means of escape at that time of the war. The escape lines hadn't been set up. She just had a way out. And her work with resistance is that she has infiltrated the Dutch Nazi party because her sister is involved with that.
Okay.
And so she's reporting back for the resistance papers. But when she's at this meeting, she finds out that they're recruiting people to be spies for Germany in Britain. Well, she speaks fluent English. She was educated in English. She says, this is it. This is my ticket. The Germans are going to give me a free ride to England. So she signs up, convinces them she's just the right person, trains as a spy, they take her to far northern Scotland, and she takes her little boat to shore, and her plans go awry because there is a kilt-wearing Scotsman who happens to be a stalwart Navy officer, and he finds her as she's landing. And being a stalwart naval officer, he's only one thing to do with the Nazi spy, which is turn her in, and knowing that she'll be executed. But MI5, Britain's counterintelligence agency, their policies to try to turn the spies to be double agents working for them. And so Scylla, of course, being in the resistance, she signs up for that and she becomes the double agent. They send her right back to Scotland to report on the naval activity at Scapa Flow and give her a naval liaison right back to Lachlan, who's the man who captured her. So that.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so excited about this story.
Wow. Double agent. Wow. First of all, anybody who is ever a double agent, I doubt you're listening to this, but if you listen, kudos. Because I don't think I could keep track of anything if I was just a normal agent.
Oh, I know. When I was reading the MI5 stories about what these double agents were doing, they had all these, they had real contacts, and they had fictional contacts, and then they would take the real ones and make them fictional. And they had these whole, as novelists, story worlds. They had developed all these story worlds with this fake information that they're receiving from their supposed contacts. Yeah. I mean, it's like writing all these novels, and they would have to keep them all in their head.
Yeah.
And so part of MI5's job was to keep those all straight. And they actually had all these files of all these cover stories and stories that their agents had. And then they coordinated them so they could give one unified story to Germany. Wow. It's phenomenal what they did. And what's even more phenomenal is that Germany never figured out. They never realized that any of their agents had been turned. They thought they were all active.
Really?
Yeah. It's wild. They never.
Wow. That's impressive. Because I would think that somebody would have slipped up at some point with someone.
But MI5 they had handlers who watched over their agents. And when they got any whiff of an idea that their agents were getting either turning or were just becoming unreasonable, irresponsible, they would just shut the case down and intern the agents. And they had all these counter stories to explain why they had stopped transmitting. It's just
unreal.
Oh yeah. It's great fun to read about. So really interesting research.
Yeah. Well, and you think about it too. I mean, nowadays, I'm sure there's double agents somewhere in the world, but they've, the records and stuff like you're talking about. I'm thinking computer databases and doing quick searches and all these ways to organize things. And back then in World War II, you're literally talking file folders on paper.
Yes. Card files. They had lots of enormous card files. It's wild.
And then trying to cross-check and cross-search. And my brain just fried.
I know. But Scylla is perfectly suited for it. She is she's lively, and she has a very active imagination, and she just spouts off these ideas. And then Lachlan, of course, doesn't trust her at first, but they eventually start to work up, and their ideas play off of each other. Okay. And it was great fun watching. I would just kind of I felt like I was just transcribing their conversation.
Don't you love that?
I do. It's so much fun.
That's like the best.
Slow down, you guys. I can't keep up.
You're going faster than my brain can think up. Wait, you're in my brain. How's this working?
I'm just trying to type.
I know.
Fast enough.
Oh, those are the best books though, because they're so fun to write. Because in a way, you're almost experiencing it you are experiencing it for the first time. Yeah. And you sometimes then the characters just take over and you're like, wait, what? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, exactly.
So what was Scotland's role in the war? Obviously, they're going to be on the Allied side. They're not on the German side. Yeah. But you don't hear a lot about Germany going into Scotland or anything like that. So how did all that work? What was their place in the war?
Well, as part of the United Kingdom, so a lot of their story is the British story. So they had all the same rationing, so a lot of things when you read about England in World War II, Scotland was experiencing the exact same things. Got it. Their men were fighting for the British Army. There's some unique experience at first. See, of course, Scotland and England have always had this love-hate relationship. And obviously that was in place in the 1940s. And there was a Scottish separatist movement at the time. Well, I
Okay.
guess it probably always has been.
Hmm.
And especially it was building up in the 1920s, 1930s. And early in the war, some of these people, this was a splinter group. This wasn't a really big group, but
Okay.
some of them were actually promoting ideas like, we'd be better off under Germany than are under
Oh,
England. I mean, we
wow.
think, England is
Okay.
so horrible to us. Let's let Germany in. They'll free us. And
Sure.
actually, and Germany was playing off of this. Whenever there was a nationalist group
Okay.
in there, so they were also going after Wales,
Hmm.
Ireland. There was some Brittany, a lot of these splinter areas. They would support the separatist movements because divide and
Oh,
conquer,
okay. Right.
divide and conquer.
Right.
So, but the reality is, so at the beginning, there was a lot of talk in Scotland about why are we going to fight the English war? They would call it the English war. This is
Interesting.
not universal. This is, a smaller
Yeah.
percentage of the population, but there was some
Yeah.
serious talk about that. When they started conscripting women to work in the factories, they were complaining about they're stealing our Scottish girls and send them to England. And that's part of what England has always done to us, stealing
Yes.
our women. So
Yep.
there was a lot of that talk.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then Germany started bombing Glasgow and Edinburgh a
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
And then it became our war. They
Hmm.
at that point, Scotland realized, this is
It's
us
personal
too.
now.
So, and that was mid 1941. So really,
Okay.
there was only a little bit of time. But by then, the separatist movement had been pretty much died.
Okay.
But there were always going to be some people on the fringes.
Yeah.
But I was able to use that for the story because
Okay.
I have Lachlan's brother, and he is a member of the separatist group. He has
Okay.
refused to register for conscription.
Hmm.
As the story starts, he has just been released from prison for refusing to register. He holds to all those principles, and
Yeah.
so I kind of played on the whole house divided, and house divided against itself cannot stand, and that's in the
Yeah.
Bible.
It is.
Abraham
Yeah.
Lincoln. It's a true statement,
Yeah.
and obviously it rings true for what's going on in the world today. This division
Hmm.
that's so prominent, and so here it is in the Mackenzie household, two
Hmm.
brothers. Who hate each other, who are divided against each other.
Wow.
So that was a subplot that worked into it. And of course, with Scylla being a double agent, MI5 was working with this. Like, so she has all these subplots of stories about, she has a little fake, she creates her own fake separatist group.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I called it Free Caledonia. And,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they want to do sabotage. And so I
Hmm.
have her quote infiltrating this group and doing all
Wow.
these things. So I was able to use that as a real situation
Yeah.
that was in play during the war.
Yeah.
But in general, the Scottish story is primarily the British story,
Okay.
but with, of course, a Scottish flavor. And
Yeah.
then another thing I was able to play
Hmm.
with was Scapa Flow, which is up in
Okay.
the Orkney Islands. So technically part of
Hmm.
Scotland, but it's
Hmm.
really, they're their own culture,
Okay.
and right above northern Scotland.
Okay.
So Scapa Flow is right there facing northern Scotland,
Mm.
and major naval base. There were some bombings there. There was a U-boat that went straight into the harbor and sank a battleship, and 800 men died. So
Wow.
Scapa Flow has a lot of stuff going on,
Oh
and
yeah.
so I was able to work with that too. So
Yeah.
um, yeah,
That's so cool because all these things. It's like World War II is like a never-ending
yeah.
treasure
There's so
chest of story, and I don't know if I should call it treasure chest because
of
if you lived during
story,
that
yes,
time, it was
yeah,
not great. But yeah, of stories and things like Scapa Flow. Like I think I've ever heard of Scapa Flow,
yeah,
let alone the port, let alone the sinking. I mean, 700 to 800 lives. That's
yeah,
huge. That's a
yeah.
huge loss.
It was, and
Wow.
it was the to the Royal Navy. It was seen as a huge shame
Mm,
because they should have. How did they let a U-boat right into their harbor with the entire fleet?
yeah.
And it was a real black mark on their record.
Hmm.
And so then they spent the rest of the war making sure that Scapa Flow was secure, and they did a great job. They really
Yeah.
secured that harbor. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So you do have obviously a lot of World War II, a lot of spy stuff going on here. And I'm assuming there's going to be a little bit of romance going on too for
Oh yeah,
anybody who loves romance.
yeah. I love romance.
It does kind of lighten the mood when you're in World War II.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it was fun with this one because I don't know if I've ever truly written an enemies to lovers, because I often find it doesn't
Okay.
ring true to me, because like if
Sure.
you hate each other, I just can't buy you hating each other for good reason and then
Yeah.
falling in love. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's just a trope that's never really worked great for some people. Can pull it off some situations.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've written it before, but in this case, it is literally enemies. He is fighting for the Allies, and he thinks she's a Nazi spy.
Yeah.
And so he sees her as his enemy. And this is the man who turned her in to be executed. So he is her enemy. And
Yeah.
so
He's
they,
pretty serious about
yeah,
his
exactly.
convictions.
So he kill her. He wanted her dead. So that's so funny. So at the
Yeah.
beginning of the story, the first quarter of the book, they hate each other. They just hate
Wow.
each other.
Yeah.
And, but the way I felt like I made it work is that because her heart truly is with the Allied
Yeah.
cause, they actually have that in common.
Yeah.
So it's on superficial that he thinks she's an enemy. And then as she gets to know him, she's like, how could he have not turned me in? What else was there to do? Knowing
Yeah.
this man is a man of integrity and duty and
Mm-hmm.
honor,
Mm-hmm.
would I expect him to let me go free?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what a horrible man he would be if he let a known Nazi agent go
Right.
free in his
Right.
homeland. I mean,
Yeah.
so as she grows to know him, she understands where he's coming from.
Yeah.
So that was but it was a fun trope to play with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really,
It'll be fun to read. I have to applaud you though, because my husband and I were just watching a show the other night, and essentially it was one of those things where the boyfriend hero character was hiding stuff from the girlfriend, and it was to keep her safe, and it was because of the situation he was in, and it was a high action film type thing.
yeah,
He didn't want her to die, so he lied to her. And then the next scene is this whole long, drawn out drama of her being so mad at him and going off on him for lying to her. And how could I ever trust you? And I looked at my husband and I said, why do people do that? Because women are smart enough to see through that there's a good reason for why that was, and for you to put that in with like Lachlan and Scylla, for Scylla to be like, yeah, you should have turned me in. You thought I
yeah,
was a Nazi. Like, yeah, I'm not holding that against you long term, because
yeah,
hello,
yeah.
that speaks to your character, right? Um,
Exactly.
so I've always found that hard in certain movies and books to read and be like, oh, come on.
I know.
Look at the full scope of the situation. Either a serial killer is going to come after you because he was honest with you, or he's going to lie and save your life. I mean, I'm not offended by that lie.
You do a short. How could you? Oh wait, that's why.
Right, right, yeah,
The thing is, I just wrote a scene yesterday, and in my notes, the heroine was supposed to be really angry with the hero.
okay,
Um, she believes that he's responsible for something really bad happening,
mm-hmm.
and so in my notes, I was having her crying and beating his chest, and she's really upset with him. She forgives him, but
Sure,
those are my notes.
yeah,
And then I started writing the scenes like, no, she understands.
yeah,
She understands what he's done. She understands why this other person, and she understands this other person's responsibility. So she's going to have that initial rush of wanting
yes,
to blame, which is
yes,
human and natural. But
mm-hmm.
she's come along too far in the story to really,
Live there, yeah,
really live there. And so, like
yeah,
as I'm writing, like it's not as dramatic this way, but it's truer to who she is, and
yeah.
it's more. It was more real in a way. So
Yeah.
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 So yeah.
I
So I
like that.
actually
And that
yesterday.
tension is cool. It's
Yeah.
just when it like goes too far in one direction and then you're like, okay, at some point here,
Okay.
let's come on. I love that though. That's and it is fun to have those ethical moments. Like, you look at World War II
Yeah.
and then the question becomes, okay, where are the ethics when you look at Christian morals and things like that, like thou
Yes.
shalt not lie, and now
Exactly.
you're a double agent and those things. Have you had to wrestle with any of those when you've portrayed your characters?
Oh yeah, especially in this story, because
Okay.
Everything Sylla does is lying.
Right.
when she infiltrates the Dutch Nazi party, she's lying and letting them think that she's interested in what they're doing. She's doing it for a good cause to gain intelligence to put in the paper, but
Right.
she's lying. She lies to get herself recruited as a Nazi spy. She lies to MI5. She lies to Lachlan as a double agent. She's lying to her German handler. Everything she's doing is lying, and she sees it as acting. And she basically says, this is all fun. I'm acting and I'm doing it for a good cause. And she has no problem with it at the beginning. But as she's growing in her faith, she's starting to have more of a problem with it. And toward the end, it becomes a point of real tension for her.
Yeah.
And it's really a problem for Lachlan. He's all about truth and justice. And first, he's upset that the British want to send any real information to Germany because that could endanger the fleet.
Right.
And with good reason. Right. But he also doesn't want to tell lies. So he's kind of been, I don't want to say blackmailed, but coerced into this situation. He has several reasons he doesn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
But it is really, and a couple times he tries to quit, knowing he might go to jail for it because he's defying an order as a naval officer. Right. So there are some times that it's a real tension, and they both have to kind of come to grips with it. And when is it right? We all know the stories in the Bible of Rahab lying to hide the Hebrew spies, and she's commended. Yeah. And there are stories throughout the Bible of people who use dishonesty for a good reason. Right. And so we know, and obviously, if you are hiding Jewish people in your home in Germany and they come to your door, you say, oh, here they are, come get them.
Right, exactly.
We all kind of agree there are certain situations to protect the life of an innocent person. Yeah. Most of us would agree that telling a lie is justified.
Justified, yeah.
But where do you draw the line? And other times, when you're just doing it to protect your own reputation, all wrong. And so, somewhere in that spectrum, it goes from right to wrong. And where do you draw that line? And I don't think there are as easy answers as we want. No. And so she ends up struggling with it. He struggles with it all the way through. Yeah. And toward the end, it was kind of fun writing toward the end, the scenes that she's trying to phrase things in a way that looks deceptive, but there's actual truth in there. And there's a letter she writes almost at the climax, and there's actually truth in it. It's all true, but the way it's framed makes people think something
different,
false. And but at that point, Lachlan's like, no, he sees through it.
He's like, wait a second, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of fun. That was a fun term. I don't think there was actually one line. There was one line in that letter, but everything else was like, basically, she was trying to be as truthful as she could.
Yeah. That's crazy. We're in, I teach 7th and 8th grade girls Sunday school. And this year we've been talking about women of faith. So we've been doing some biblical characters. And right now we're doing a study of Corrie ten Boom. And so we're going through the Holocaust. I could not believe how many of these girls didn't know not just who Corrie ten Boom was, but they didn't even know what the Holocaust was. Yeah. I'm like, what? You're in 7th grade. You need to know this. Yeah, so I'm waiting for the calls from parents going, you traumatized my child in school, at Sunday school. But we were having this conversation about honesty because there was, we're listening to a radio drama, Focus on the Family has a radio theater drama where they dramatize the hiding place for families and kids. So it's a great resource for kids to listen. Yeah. And we're listening to it, and there's this scene where Corrie goes to turn her radio into the Nazis. And they ask if she has another one or if this is their only radio. And she says, no, it's our only radio. And then she comes outside and she has this massive moment of stroke of conscience where she's like, Papa, I lied. We have another one. What should have I done? And he said, you should have told them the truth. And they have this little dialogue. So we've stopped the episode and we said to the girls, okay, what would you have done? And when is it okay? Or is it ever okay? You're talking about saving the lives of Jewish people. You're saving the lives of your family.
Mhm.
You need that radio for community. Or is this a moment like Papa was saying where we trust God? So be honest and trust that God's going to provide. And there's part of me that's going, no, God gave you a brain. Use it. Lie. But it was such an interesting conversation with these girls because they were like, I would have, and it was split. Some of the girls were like, oh, I would have just trust God to do it. And the other girls were like, are you nuts? And they were having these really interesting debates.
Right.
And I don't know that we ever came to a solid conclusion because
Yeah.
it is so
Yeah.
difficult.
It is. And I think that's important to explore those morally gray issues.
Yeah.
And they're morally gray in the Bible.
Mhm.
And even the one we say, thou shalt not lie, it's actually thou shalt not bear false witness. And which has a
Oh, good
slightly,
catch.
really
Yes.
has a slightly different
Yes.
connotation. And thou shalt always tell the truth and never say anything false.
Right.
And of course, sometimes we as Christians take that to extremes. Like, I need to say everything on my mind. It's like, oh, no, you
Oh,
should not.
no,
Oh, no,
don't do that.
please don't. You're in so much trouble because people won't stop speaking their mind.
I know, please stop. Stop talking. Oh,
Sometimes.
right. All right.
So,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, there's that too with the thou shalt not kill, like we're never supposed to, and that's been used for pacifists for many years. But if you also study that, it's thou shalt not murder with the intent of like revenge and so forth. So it is interesting when you do get to those morally gray areas, especially when you plop them into the middle of a war, because war itself is not black
life
and
and
white.
death. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's life and death. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of a story, a novel, is that you can explore those issues.
Yeah.
It's not just, a quick little meme on Instagram and
Right.
like, oh, that's also like, no, let's explore it. Like, let's live in this where you're in a situation where you're forced to make these decisions or you choose to make these decisions and how do you weigh those out? And so I have 370 odd pages that I can explore that through people, real people.
Yeah.
Fictional people.
Real fictional people.
They feel real to me.
Yes,
and the situation is modeled on things that did actually happen. So, but I know I enjoy that when I'm reading a novel. Go, well, what I do?
Yeah.
What I tell this story? What I do that? What I do not do that? Where would I draw the line? And that's one of my book club discussion questions. Like, where do you draw the line?
Perfect.
Where would you do what Scylla did?
Yep.
And if not, where would you have stopped? And I think that's. I wish I could hang out with all the book clubs as they.
I know, right? See what they conclude. Oh, well, the book is called Midnight on the Scottish Shore. It's already received a star review from Library Journal. So when Library Journal gives a star review, this is going to be a really good book. So I'm looking forward to it. So if readers want to find out more about you and your books, where's the best place for them to be in touch?
My website, sarahsundin.com. I'm also on socials, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on Threads. That's pretty quiet there. I'm on Twitter X, whatever you're calling it this week. I'm debating whether I want to be there. It's a dark place.
Right. I know. Dark. Oh my. Well, you are able to be found online relatively easily.
Find me, pretty much. Except it keeps splintering. There's so many of them. Like
I know. And your books are available in ebook and paperback and audiobook. So if you're an audiobook listener, go to Audible. Because I've listened to some through Audible there. It's been great. So this is good. So, well, Sarah, thank you so much for being with us and chatting about Scotland and lying. How's that for a closing statement? We'll have you back with your next book and maybe we'll talk about something a little lighter. Oh, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap for today here at Madlet Musings. I hope you join us again. And if you want to, be sure you like and subscribe here at your favorite podcast player or on YouTube, because you won't want to miss all the wonderful alerts that let you know when we have another conversation for you to eavesdrop on.